Do Democrats not have reason to be concerned that there are long-term plans by this administration to keep U.S. military or the National Guard in American cities?
Is he willing to say specifically what he would like and when?
But look, this conversation about layoffs would not be happening right now if the Democrats did not vote to shut the government down.
Let's watch a few clips of Trump Press Secretary Karoline Leavitt struggle to defend this failed, corrupt administration from multiple questions pertaining to the government shutdown, ICE in Chicago, and more. So take a moment, leave us a like on the video, gives us a boost in the algorithm. We're trying to get to 30,000 subscribers, only possible with you guys, and let's hop in with some fact checks ready.
The president said yesterday that Democrats will be to blame if federal workers lose their jobs. Historically, though, in past shutdowns, workers have been furloughed, but they have not been laid off in mass. So wouldn't that be the president's call to lay people off?
As I've said repeatedly, Caitlin, this conversation about layoffs would not be happening right now if the Democrats did not vote to shut the government down. And as I also said last briefing as well, we are $37 trillion in debt, and the government is not receiving any cash. So someone has to look at the balance sheet and be good stewards of the American taxpayer dollar.
These people don't care about the debt. Don't let them pretend like they do. They just signed nearly $5 trillion more into law with their rich guy tax cuts, as Trump was also trying to remove the deficit ceiling so he could do even more, right? If they cared about the debt, they would fix the revenue problem that causes it. The tax cuts only exacerbate it. We know without Trump 1 tax cuts, these tax cuts, the Bush tax cuts, Reagan tax cuts, we would be on par to pay off our debt. It has nothing to do with spending. Also, he's firing IRS workers, which Trump, he's done this en masse. That makes them less able to gather this additional revenue as well. Cutting heads who work for the federal government is crumbs as it pertains to the debt. And in many instances, not even that, as these federal agencies return profit for every dollar spent on them. So it's an entirely MAGA decision driven by Republicans' inability to govern and their want to destroy our government.
Courts allow you to ultimately send in the National Guard into Chicago and Portland. Do Democrats not have reason to be concerned that there are long-term plans by this administration to keep U.S. military or the National Guard in American cities, like what we're seeing here in Washington?
Why should they be concerned about the federal government offering help to make their cities a safer place? They should be concerned about this. They should be concerned about the fact that people in their cities right now are being gunned down every single night.
It's a concern that all Americans should have. It's definitely legitimate. No American should just casually be okay with the military walking our streets. Why do we want militarized cities, right? Oh, it's fine because it's not mine and they voted Democrat, right? We see enough issues with policing as it is, with shootings, abuses, and more. Why would we want to up that, escalate it with a force that's trained for war, not for de-escalation or policing of any kind, and have them now pointing their arms at civilians? We've seen this turn out bad in LA in a minimal, at a minimal version, and compared to what Trump is thinking of doing. We've seen it turn bad in Chicago with just ICE agents, and it's curious that it's only blue cities this is being proposed in, where the goal just seems to be have this authoritarian presence as a sort of intimidation to coerce these cities into following Trump's will that might otherwise not have.
To share more on what he'd like to negotiate on the Affordable Care Act later, is he willing to say specifically what he would like and when?
But look, the president is definitely committed to fixing and improving our healthcare system. You saw it again last week when he had one of the largest pharmaceutical companies in the world coming into the Oval Office and promising to lower drug prices by 200, 300, 100% in many cases for various types of drugs for American patients. That is a huge fix to a broken system that has been ripping off the American people for far too long.
Guys, she's beating around the bush here. When there's specific subsidies and credits we know that are about to expire that will lead to increases of over 75% on those paying premiums and what they would have to pay, she's not mentioning those because they're willing to let them die. That's why she's beating around the bush. The Medicaid cuts they just signed into law means even more lower earners now have to pay out of pocket for these as well. So what we're talking about is the poor and the elderly having their prices increase, and Republicans are all dancing around the fact that they want them to expire. Even she won't say, yes, Trump will protect those. We know what they are. And she's like, well, nebulously, he'll protect healthcare and wants to defend it. And Mike Johnson wouldn't say this either. And we all know that that's why Democrats are still fighting because they just want you to sign on now, keep the government open for them. They can keep doing their slashing and destruction, and then they're never going to sign on to these things, and they're going to let them expire and then be like, oh, Obamacare is a fail. Look at the failure of Obamacare. Like, Trump is already the guy who tried to kill this in his first term. He's so clearly trying to come around and have reason to do it in his second term, and they're just going to replace this with privatization, which it's funny because the shortcomings in Obamacare are because of the power it allots privatization to still have. Like, that's the funny part. That's the ironic part. But these people will never mention that. They'll just say, Obamacare failed, so let's privatize, because they have motives.